Hey, this is Dr. Drew, and you are listening to the Fascination Street podcast.
I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street. Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This is a return appearance with Dr. Drew Pinksy. Dr. Drew is a board-certified physician and addiction medicine specialist who for decades hosted the nationally syndicated radio show Loveline from 1984 until it ended in 2016. He also co-hosted Loveline on MTV with Adam Carolla, as well as producing and starring in the VH1 show Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, Sex Rehab with Dr. Drew, Teen Mom, all the things, all the shows. And today I asked him to come on so that we could talk about his newest foray into reality television, Special Forces World's Toughest Test. Series premiere tonight on Fox. It's a 2-hour premiere starting at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 8 Pacific, and that's what we talk about in this episode. We talk about some of these grueling challenges from the playbook of the actual Special Forces selection process. We talk about what it was like to film this in the Jordanian desert when it was 120 degrees, doing all these challenges that include heights and water and apparently explosions. This is some of the toughest and harshest things you're ever going to see on TV. Drew's not even sure they'd be able to do this again. Things were so hard and dangerous. Check it out. 2-hour series premiere tonight on Fox, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 8 Pacific. It's called Special Forces World's Toughest Test. And this is my second conversation with the wonderful Dr. Drew Pinksy.
Yeah, talk to me, yeah.
Welcome back to Fascination Street Podcast, Dr. Drew Pinksy, MD. How you doing today, man?
It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome back. Indeed, it's been way too long.
Oh my gosh, so long. Now, tell all the listeners, what is your medical specialty? Because I don't know if it's lifeguard medicine or...
You know what's weird is I was just, before I had something I was supposed to do that got canceled, but I was thinking, boy, I'm going to speak to a group of people that don't know me. And people, if they know me from media and whatever else I've been doing, do not know my sort of medical background. And I thought it's worthwhile reviewing it. So I appreciate the chance to do it.
Of course.
So I was trained as a biologist. I had very formal science training. Then I went to medical school. Then I did a general medical residency. I was heading for cardiology. I was really good at critical care medicine and that kind of thing, and ended up moonlighting in a psychiatric hospital during my last 2 years of residency. And I got fascinated with the medical care of psychiatric patients. So I did a chief residency, and then I started teaching in the Department of Medicine, then went into practice. And when I did that, I was also doing this psychiatric thing alongside of it. I essentially took over their medical services. So I became very skilled in the medical care of psychiatric patients. It's so funny. When I first got there, I thought I was interested in psychiatry, and neurobiology was kind of my thing in college. After about a year of working there, I thought, I don't know anything about psychiatry. And holy shit, all my peers are doing all the prescribing of psychotropics, and they really have no idea. And then I spent 30 more years at that same hospital. And I still strongly believe, you got to get your psychiatric colleagues involved when there are complex psychiatric symptoms, and don't be prescribing on your own. But yet the primary care guys are still the primary prescribers. Anyway, so that's a aside. So I started doing the psychiatric thing alongside. Then I started practicing medicine. I was still teaching medicine. And that was back in the days when you could I was doing critical care. I was doing inpatient medicine. I was doing outpatient medicine. And then in the afternoon, I'd go to the psych hospital. And a lot of the medical problems were down on the drug unit. So I got very good at drug withdrawal and treating addicts. And the director there asked me to be the assistant director, and then he quit. And then all of a sudden, I'm the director of a chemical dependency program, and spent the next 25 years doing that alongside of practicing general medicine. And in addition to teaching in medicine, I ended up teaching through the Department of Psychiatry also. I'm board certified in medicine and psychiatry, re-upped those boards a couple of times, or at least once, I guess. And just had a really broad clinical experience that you just don't get today. It's I want to give that all back now. I feel like I've got to share this judgment and skill I've developed through all that crazy experience. And I was, profound workaholic for like 15, 20 years. But I want to give that sort of sensibility back as much as I can.
Are you teaching formally? I mean,
I'm not teaching right now. No, I taught in several ways. I lectured at the medical school. I also taught residents. I did a lot of teaching. I am not teaching now.
All right. Well, good. You sound like you've spent enough time in school.
Well, enough time teaching too. But it's interesting. It was around 2010 or 11. I started going. You've done your thing. You've really done the clinical thing. Let's start to explore other stuff. So I just do general medicine now. That's it.
Like, are you associated with hospitals?
No, I let my hospital stuff go. I'm not doing any hospital work presently, and I did it, man. I walked the halls of a hospital every day for 30 years, 3 different hospitals. Yeah, that's enough of that. Thank you very much.
That is enough of that.
It's interesting when I signed up to, when all the craziness went down around COVID, I volunteered and I gave an apology for mischaracterizing the infectivity of this agent, which I missed, and agreed to volunteer for physician sort of task forces in New York and California. And California never called on me. In New York, I went so far as going all through the interview process. And that's why I bring this up. And the whole thing died out just as I was doing the interviewing. They didn't need us anymore. The interview process was interesting because they were asking me, can you put swans in? Yeah. Can you put arterial lines in? Yeah. Do you know ventilator management? Yeah. Can you do shot? Yeah. I've done all that. I do all that. I did it every day for 20 years. And they were shocked that a non-hospitalist, non-intensivist knew how to do this stuff. And I thought, oh my God, they're not training the internists, the residents today to do this stuff. And that was a really important part of my training. I was very good at it and I could still do it. I have to, do some updating of some of the ventilator management, and that kind of thing. But it's surprising to me how things have changed in terms of how doctors are being trained.
Does it scare you?
Worries me. It worries me. I mean, critical thought is out the window. Algorithmic process is the sort of the call of the day. Everyone's becoming a employee rather than an independent practitioner. It's very concerning. And the fact that, again, these broad experiences are being had by no one. So, someone doing critical care medicine and psychiatry and addiction medicine, you will not find that person. That doesn't exist anymore. It really was an incredible window into the human experience in medicine.
You should write a book. Just kidding. How many books have you written, Drew?
4, I think.
Does that include the one with your daughter?
Yes.
That's the most recent one, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be awkward. Go get it, everybody.
Tell everybody what that is about.
It started pre-pandemic as a project on consent. There was a lot of confusion about consent with young people. And I said, look, my daughter just is out of Columbia where, this whole issue of consent was a huge deal on that campus. You need a young person. My daughter's a writer. We should get her involved. But at very minimum, we have to get some young people involved with this. The editor agreed. And so that's how we ended up writing it. And it ended up being quite a bit more than just sort of consent in the sense that, romantic partners treating each other properly. We really tried to cover all relationships and how various kinds of boundaries of consent enter into that.
Was it awkward to write a book with your daughter, or in her shoes, was it awkward to write a book with your father about that subject matter?
It was a little bit awkward. It doesn't have to be awkward, as we said. But, my daughter just spills it all out there. So it was always cringy to me, but maybe it was cringy to her at times too.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I had only planned on talking about Special Forces World's Toughest Test.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for this lead up. That was fantastic. This episode is going to drop the same day as the series premiere.
Oh, my God.
So from now until I don't have any more time with you, we're just going to talk about this brand new.
I have a little extra time. So if you want to talk other topics,
okay.
I'm happy to. But I have Special Forces is an interesting topic to me, too. So have at it.
Well, I do want to talk about that because I'm a listener. You have several podcasts. The ones I know about are the Adam and Drew Show, Dr. Drew After Dark, Ask Dr. Drew, the Dr. Drew Podcast. I'm sure there's something else.
Those are the ones right now.
You go on some mom's house.
Your mom's house, yeah.
Your mama's house?
Your mom's house. That's where the After Dark is. Yeah, I'm amazed. This move into digital has been so fascinating to me. I love it. and I'm in kind of denial about it. It's weird. I'm so used to.
What are you in denial about? The reach?
Well, I'm so used to going to a studio to do things that reach people.
Right.
The fact that I can do it out of my kid's playroom is astonishing to me.
I'm going to say that the fact that your kids have a playroom when they've graduated college is astonishing.
Well, what at one time was their playroom. It was so-called, the playroom so-called, was really just a gaming room is really what it became. And that my wife can produce it and run a little business around it. It's just so crazy to me. It's so interesting. I love doing that. I'm sort of feel gratitude is something that comes very easily to me because I'm so grateful about so much. As I said, in the lead up, I had this wildly broad clinical experience, and I've also had this crazy creative experience in media. I'm just so grateful for all that.
Yeah, you've been a fixture for as far back as I can remember. No offense in your age there, buddy. As far back as I can remember, you've been a fixture on radio, TV, film. You do spots on all kinds of, like, you guest on everything. So you've always been a fixture on TV and radio, and I'm so glad that you have such a good foothold in the podcasting community because I think you represent well, and you're knowledgeable, and your gratitude, by the way, does come through on just about everything that I listen to you on. Your gratitude does come through.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
You are welcome.
But before we go further, I just want to say one thing: Happy birthday, Jamie.
Thank you. That was so cool. All right, so. Dr. Drew, You have been a board-certified physician and addiction medicine specialist for more than 6 or 7 months, bordering on decades.
Yes.
So, on what, like 30 years or something? A long time.
I graduated medical school in 84. I finished in residency 87, 88, got board certified there.
38 years ago is when you graduated medical school.
Yeah, and 40 years ago. And then got board certified in addiction medicine the first time in 91.
Okay. We are going to talk about this new show. It's a reality show of sorts, I guess. It's a competition show. It's called Special Forces World's Toughest Test. It will make its series premiere, which will be a 2-hour special event on Wednesday, January 4th. I believe it starts at 7 p.m. Central, something like that. Check your local listings. It's on Fox. It has been a long time coming. I know that you filmed it a long time ago, and by a long time ago, I mean several months. But before we get into that, there's 16 contestants or celebrities.
I'm gonna stop you. It's not a competition, and there are not contestants.
Thank you.
We are military recruits in a special forces training camp.
Wow.
The game is see how long you can last in a situation that literally Fox was very concerned that there would be no cast after day one. That's how hard it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Real quick, the celebrity recruits are Danny Amendola, Mel B, Hannah Brown, Tyler Florence, Kate Gosselin, Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard, I'm pretty sure, is not human based on watching him on a basketball court. He has muscles that nobody else does. Holy moly.
He's amazing.
Montell Jordan, Gus Kenworthy, Nastia Liukin, Carli Lloyd, Beverly Mitchell, Kenya Moore, Mike Piazza, and Dr. Drew Pinksy. Oh, Anthony Scaramucci and Jamie Lynn Spears. Good Lord, what a cast.
Yeah. And what a ragtag group of people, too. I had dinner with a group of them about a week ago. I will just tell you, this experience bonded us like we were actually at war together.
Was it like a trauma bond?
100% trauma bond. These are now my closest friends. And I was at dinner with a group of them because we did some promotion in Los Angeles and a bunch of them were in town. We had dinner with them and we brought spouses and things. And my wife looked at me, she goes, you wouldn't even know these people were it not for this experience. And yet you're the best of friends now. And I thought, yeah, that's interesting. It was a really sort of disparate group, but damn, we hung together. And as Ben Franklin famously said, we hung together or we would surely hang apart.
Oh, that's well put. I like that. I know you probably don't have a ton of details about the selection process, but can you share what you know? Like, how did they pick all these people?
This is a show that has been a major hit in the UK for a while, like 4 seasons or something. It's the same production company, same everything. And I assume that informed them in some way. The casting of a reality show tends to be somewhat formatic once they find something that works. And so my guess is they needed an old guy. And that's why they called me. And when they called me, I'm like, what are you, come on, you're joking, right? Like, no, they want you for this thing. And I go, where are you taking me? Utah or Arizona or something? They go, no, the Wadi Rum Desert in the Middle East. I'm like, what? How are we supposed to do this? What do you mean you're going to Jordan? And I thought about it. And I thought, all right, well, let me start training and see if I can if this is even possible. And I started very heavy training, like sprinting hills and wearing packs and really doing a lot of work.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. Were you just doing general training? Like, cause you didn't really know what to expect. Were you just kind of doing some endurance stuff, or like, what was your mindset?
They kind of described to me, it's a Navy SEAL kind of training program, and there's gonna be a lot of running, which there was. And I thought, well, let me see if I can train for that. I kind of know how to train. And I responded. I hadn't trained like this in years. And I thought, oh, maybe this is what I'm looking for. Because I was feeling kind of old and weary, and it had diverticulitis and my prostate cancer. So, whatever. I was getting sort of moany and sort of, I don't know. I didn't like myself being that way. And I thought, maybe this I'm responding. Maybe this is what I'm looking for. Then I started saying, okay, now I want to do this. Then they started pushing back. Like, well, you got to do treadmills and VO2s and blah, 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 blah. And I go, yeah, fine, let me do that.
Was that because of your age?
Yeah. And I sailed through all that. And to be clear, I'm 64. So let's talk about, I'm older. And I sailed through all that stuff. And then I figured out a way to make the time to go do it. And that was it. All of a sudden, I'm on my way to the Middle East. How they picked the rest of them, I mean, look, more than half the cast is professional athletes and gold medalists, Olympians. So clearly they were looking for people that they felt could make it through realistically. The program is just extraordinary. And one of the reasons I did it too was to shine a light on what the military, what our special forces has to go through to be eligible for what it is they do. And oh man, wow.
Okay, so just to be clear, countries all over the world have their own version of special forces. This was an intensive put on by American special forces?
It was a combined American-British.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because this had been a British program, and I think it's called Special Ops or something over there. And so they brought in a couple of American special forces trainers with the two British guys, and off we went.
When did they reach out to you initially? Like, when did this all start for you?
Literally like 3 weeks before I got on the plane.
Which was like what month?
It was May. I can't. Well, I can go back and look.
But it was May, June, something like that?
May, June. Yeah, May, June. We hit a major heat wave in Jordan. So they quarantined us for a few days at this sort of resorty beachside thing. And it was 105 every day there. In the desert, it was 125, 120.
Was the quarantine specifically for COVID?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were two different hotels. And at my hotel, the cast found each other and just hung out the whole time. So we just all hung out anyway. And it really was important because that seven of us kind of clicked, and it sort of became a nidus around which the whole group formed. Because apparently the group at the other hotel didn't see each other.
Oh, wow. So they actually were quarantined. You guys just hung out and partied.
They actually were quarantined. I was sitting on my balcony the first day, and I see somebody running on the beach in a hoodie with a parka on, with headphones, in army boots. And I thought, well, that's got to be one of us. What other nut would do that? And so I went out there, and that was Danny Amendola from the Patriots. And we became good friends. And then as we're talking, Nastia Liukin runs up, and then Beverly shows up. No, that's it. And then Hannah Brown, the Bachelorette, runs over, and now we're a group. That's it.
Am I under the correct assumption, or not assumption, but I think I heard somewhere that before you got on the plane, when you were sort of kind of gearing up and working out, you hurt yourself? You hurt your knee?
Did. How'd you hear about that? That's interesting. Who have you interviewed from the group? Come on now. There's somebody.
It's a secret.
Really?
Yes.
But in any event, yeah, 2 days before going to the desert, I blew out my gastroc and I couldn't walk. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going to happen here? And I just thought, I'm going to get through this. And then Danny helped me. He started doing some NFL type maneuvers on me, and eventually took a metal bar, because there had to be this bar at the gym at the hotel. And he goes, "This is exactly what I need." And he was sort of rubbing out it was the most painful thing I've ever been through.
That sounds terrible.
In fact, he had a similar injury about 6 weeks ago, and somebody did it to him, and he goes, "Hey, doc, I think I was a little too rough on you." I realized how painful that is now, but it helped me, and I was able to kind of fumble through it. And then my first day at the camp, I had the medic guy tape me up, and that helped a lot. And so I was kind of okay. It was intense. It was so intense.
So when you hurt yourself before you even got on the plane, did that give you all kinds of pause? Were you like,
before I got on the plane? It was 5 days into quarantine.
Oh,
I was jumping rope in my room, and all of a sudden I'd get up every day and try to do something. And I got up that day. I thought, I'm going to jump rope, and pow, blew it right out. And I was like, oh no. Yeah, it gave me pause. I didn't, we really didn't know what we were going to get into. Right around then, Beverly somehow found some footage of one of the British shows, so we could see kind of what the vibe is. And it looks scary. It looks scary. But we got the sense of it.
The trailer absolutely looks terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Hey, Streetwalkers. Here's a word from our sponsors.
If you should die, that is nature's way of saying you've failed.
"16 household names have left their lavish lifestyles behind.
I don't care how rich or famous they are, they've entered our world and they will play by our rules.
And have enlisted in the toughest test of their lives.
Well, this is me facing my challenges.
I've become a little soft. Do I still have that fire?
Find another way!
An elite team of ex-Special Forces soldiers
This is not an adventure race. This is a military selection.
will put them through a version of the highly classified Special Forces training program.
Do not give up!
Each task based on the real course.
This is your introduction into not being able to breathe.
The only goal
The learning curve is steep. It's going to be very steep for you all.
is to last 10 days without quitting.
Just facing all of my worst fears here.
I want to show my daughter what's possible.
Go! Break!
You need to have the courage to get on whatever it is and get out of there.
Go back to the back.
If you don't quit it, you quit. Drop the attitude now. We sweat more in training, so we bleed less in combat. 5, go!
We not only want you to face your fear, we want you to smash it.
Gather yourself. It's about character. It's about belief. It's about trust.
I was worried about what I could get out of it, and now it's all about what I can give.
Come on, we can do it. Come on.
I've never worked harder in my life.
Take the pain!
I think you grow when you're uncomfortable. I want to do this so bad. I just want to feel like I'm just like worth so much.
You'll be a changed person. For damn sure, you will be a better person.
Let's get back into it.
You guys are falling out of helicopters into water. You guys are being, I don't know, plunged inside of a car. Like y'all are doing some really, really crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff. And it's crazier to me is like whenever we got to water, I was like, thank you, God. Because I'm an old lifeguard, as you said. Water was fine. I mean, I just couldn't wait to get to the water because the desert was horrible. But there were I think 5 of them that really didn't swim, or at least didn't swim at much. And Montell, God bless him, he was afraid of heights and didn't swim and jumped out.
Why did he say yes to this adventure?
I know. Hey, man, one of our trainers, Remy Adeleke, the African-American guy, he became a Navy SEAL. And when he made that decision, that's what he wanted to do. He didn't know how to swim. So it is possible to overcome water concerns. You can really apply yourself, and anybody can be a proficient at water. I feel bad for people that don't have it since they're, it's like being a skier or something and learning as an adult. It's got to be a lot different than learning at a young age. I mean, I'm so comfortable in the water, but still to see them work at overcoming that stuff was really inspiring.
This is going to sound like a bizarre question, but hopefully it's not. So Brittany Griner, she kind of got taken into custody in February. And I know that at the time that you guys were filming in Jordan, she hadn't necessarily been prisoner swapped yet. So she was still kind of being held. True. But it felt like, at least what I was hearing on the media, is that maybe they were going to try to do a prisoner swap or whatever. Was there any concerns that 16 celebrities hanging out in the Middle East, like, was there any security concerns with you guys? Or were you guys thinking, oh no, we're going to get nabbed and held for ransom or something?
Jordan is a very westernized country. And when we were in Jordan, and the borders were pretty clear, though where we were kept for a week was 2 miles to my left is Saudi Arabia and 5 miles to my right is Israel. And it was a little odd, but they took care of us very carefully. So we did not think about that.
Oh, good. I would have been terrified. Once again, everybody, tonight is the series premiere of Special Forces, World's Toughest Test. And of course, it's not like I have to re-intro, but we're talking to Drew Pinsky, Dr. Drew Pinsky, one of the celebrities, not contestants, one of the celebrity recruits.
There's so many things that we experience. In fact, we all did a little roundtable last week that they're going to chop up and use pieces of for promotion and to maybe as special stuff at the end for the Hulu or whatever. But one of the, the things we all were thinking was, we experienced so many intense things firsthand. You don't know what's going to end up on TV. And because they had just, they had cameras. We didn't see production or anything, except occasionally we'd see a camera running after us. Otherwise, there were drones and fixed cameras everywhere. We were just in the desert with the staff, and that was that. And everything was behind the scenes. But there were a couple things that we wanted to kind of share with the world. One was that whenever we got into the cars, they transported us by cars through the desert, that those were funny moments. And we're hoping that some of that gets on TV, because that's when we'd kind of let down. And there was a moment on day one. I mean, when you see how they enter us into this program, it's probably some of the most intense television ever attempted. Just enrolling us, just the first hour we are being taken into this program. And I haven't seen much of any of it on the promotion, so I'm not gonna reveal. They clearly are hiding what you're gonna see. I'll hint at this: that large scale explosives were involved, as well as that's as far as I'll go. And at lunch, like 4 hours into it, we were in this sort of lunch tent and we were all silent. And Kate Gosselin looks up and goes, "Guys, look at this. Look at this. They have changed us already. We are already different." And we all were like, "Oh my God, she's so right." In 4 hours, we were all in. And then what takes us all each out is kind of an interesting story you'll have to watch and see.
Why did you say yes? You said earlier you're 64. Why did you say yes to this?
Because I told you I was feeling old, and I didn't say yes until I started training. And I was like, God, I feel so much better. Maybe this is going to give me that. I don't know. COVID had me down. I was not feeling great. I was not emotionally good. I was not physically good. And by the way, what I learned is that much of my bad feeling about my physical health was denial about aging. And so I found through this process, I've discovered exactly what my limits are, and I'm good with them. I'm good with them all. They're not bad. They're fine. They're appropriate. They're better than the average 64-year-old. And I am delighted to be here. When before I was like, wah, wah, I'm sick. Blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly where I'm at, and I feel great about it. And in terms of why I said yes to this, it's sort of irrelevant to me because it was one of the greatest experiences I ever had. And I've got so many great...
Well, how can that be irrelevant? No, that's definitely relevant.
Wait, listen, and I got some of the greatest friends I've ever had now. Sure. And I've got these close friends, great experience, wouldn't trade it for anything. It was horrible. Make no mistake about it. It was awful, but it was one of these things that was defining. It was just great. And for each of us, every one of us says the same thing.
Wow.
And now, by the way, I don't know if anyone my age should ever say yes again. And nor do I know that they can actually do this again. It was so dangerous. Everything you're seeing really happened. I mean, it was, it was high stakes, high flying. And I guess that takes you around back to why did you say yes? I said yes because I was looking for something to focus. I was looking for direction. I really felt bad about COVID. I really felt like that destroyed so many lives and was so horribly mismanaged. I was just had a lot of negativity about that. As I said, I was physically not where I wanted to be. It did the job. It got me right back in focus.
Now, your wife, Susan Pinsky, First Lady of Love, she works with you. She has she heads the company that produces a bunch of your stuff. What were her thoughts when you said, "Hey, sweetheart, guess what I want to go do"?
We'd have to ask her exactly. I mean,
how do you not?
She's
know?
always very.
I know exactly what.
Well, I'm just thinking back to what she was. I'm trying to remember what she was thinking. She was very supportive. I remember that. I don't remember any resistance from her, though nervous. Like she was like, are you sure? Are you really? Should you? That kind of nervousness. But I don't know. Susan.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Did you surprise yourself at your performance?
Kind of. I can't, it's hard for me to talk about it without divulging things I'm not allowed to divulge.
Gotcha.
Kind of. I mean, There was a task I had to do early in the day, and the staff gets really close to you. And how do you think you did? And I thought, well, I was of this, well, that. And they go, perfectly executed. I was ecstatic. I was elated after that. When the staff looks at you, you go, that was perfectly executed. It gets deep in your soul.
Who impressed you the most of all the people there? Yeah, besides you.
I mean, there were professional athletes there. These guys were impressive as hell. But Montell jumping out of that helicopter, fearful of heights and water, that got my attention. I thought that was pretty incredible.
This you might not be able to answer because I'm going to ask you about other people's perspective.
Yeah.
Who do you think was the most impressed by the performance, strength, and stamina of who Adam Carolla calls a TV love doctor who graduated from the Little Lord Fauntleroy School for Albino Hemophiliacs?
I was complaining to Mel B about some things you're going to find out about when you watch the show. Shut up. You're badass. You're badass. You were so badass. And I thought, oh, thank you, Mel. So she's the only one I've talked to about this, and she was very supportive.
I love that she wasn't taking any of your shit. She's like, shut up. Stop whining. You got this. Oh, that's awesome. Again, I guess we're going to use the word trauma bond, but I love the fact that you guys are all super tight and probably will be great friends forever.
It's nutty cuckoo how crazy close we are. I go to Austin regularly to go to your mom's house, which is where After Dark is filmed. I see Danny Amendola every time I go down there. Nastia Liukin is in Dallas. We try to get her up to join us. Every time I go to New York, I see Piazza if he's in town. I see Scaramucci. I mean, it's just crazy how we all get together. You know, Beverly and Hannah and Gus and I live in Los Angeles. We have meals together. Weird. It's crazy.
Has there ever been a more eclectic group of people that not only were you introduced to, but that you became such fast friends with?
No. You know, reality shows have a way of creating intensity. You know, that's always kind of an intense experience. And so you get close to people, but nothing like this. This is next level stuff.
I mean, you were on The Masked Singer. Am I supposed to assume that you and Dr. Ken Jeong are not besties out of that experience?
We were already friends. That's one of the reasons I did that show, is to kind of mess with Jenny and Ken. Ken used to sit in for me on Loveline. You don't know this. I was a fan of his way before Hangover. You guys didn't even know him. He was still practicing at Kaiser, and he was an excellent internist. And I thought, God, this guy has what it takes to sit in here, because he knows the medicine. He's careful and thoughtful, and he's funny. Bring him in here. And he sat in a couple of times for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
As an aside, I have a previous guest and I had her on the show, and I didn't know until I was actually interviewing her, which I guess speaks to my terrible research on her, but I had no idea that she co-hosted Loveline for over 100 episodes. Catherine McCord, I didn't even know it.
Of course.
I was so mad at myself because I had her on to talk about all of her Food Network stuff and her lines of things.
No, she's the best. She was a fantastic and a dear friend.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Drew Pinsky. Tonight at 7 Central on Fox, Special Forces, World's Toughest Test.
Oh, 7 Central. 7 Central?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Yeah, 8 Eastern. That's 7 Central, right?
Okay, so that'll be 8 Pacific, too. That means they'll delay it a little bit for the Pacific.
Yeah, I think they delay it for you, yeah. So 8 o'clock Pacific.
Wait, where are you?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
I'm not far from your mom's house.
No, you're an hour away. I like San Antonio.
Sounds so weird.
Yeah, you're an hour away. I want to go down there. I want to show Susan San Antonio. It's a nice town.
You should come down. It's a blast.
Yeah.
By the way, everybody listening, Dr. Drew After Dark, which is part of your mom's house, that is a side of Drew that you won't see anywhere else.
That's true. And it is kind of a new incarnation of Loveline.
It kind of is. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, that's not the idea. That's what it has kind of become, really. What it was to begin with, I'm not sure we were sure. But it is sort of a new incarnation of Loveline. And some of the same old questions. People are just as confused as ever, in spite of all the access to information with the internet.
Well, to be fair, it's a whole new generation of people who are afraid to ask the same questions that their parents did.
Well, but they could ask, Dr. Google, no problem. But they're learning the difference between information and wisdom and understanding. They have no context. They don't know how to apply it. They don't, they don't know what to trust. And so it's very interesting. And so the questions are similar, but in a way more complicated because the basics are already given. I guess that's what it is. They have access to the basics, but the questions get into the weeds now.
And I do like that in this format of podcasting, there's no censor. So I've heard some of the questions, and I feel like the person who's asking the question is maybe a little timid about, or, kind of iffy about asking the question. And so they use words that you're not even allowed to say on radio or TV. And so,
yeah,
I love that they're able to do that because that's the comfortable speak that they're, if that makes any sense.
You have to go watch it. It's a YouTube channel and a podcast.
It's a great show. Everybody check it out. Dr. Drew After Dark. Wow. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you.
I am going to let you have the rest of your day back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Again, tonight, the 2-hour series premiere of Special Forces, World's Toughest Test. It's on Fox at 7 Central and 8 Pacific. 2-hour premiere, and then it's going to come on every Wednesday.
Yeah, when they did that, we were all trying to figure out, so much happened in the first day and a half, 2 days. I mean, so much that none of us could figure out how they were going to do it. They certainly couldn't put, day 1, episode 1. And when we heard the 2-hour special was coming, we thought, that's how they're going to do it, because so much goes down.
How long did they film? How long were you guys there?
The longest you could last was 10 days.
Oh, wow.
And only 2 made it that far.
Whoa.
A lot of shit goes down in the meantime. A lot of injuries, a lot of stuff, a lot of things you'll have to watch. In spite of, there's a lot of injuries, and some of them quite serious, and none of us still, no regrets. No regrets.
I love that. This is a dumb question. Was there any romance from anybody?
No.
No time for that, right?
Oh, no. My God. We were off balance constantly. The first day, everyone's trying to figure out what to do with their clothes and boots and this, that. And I picked up very early, like, no, you stay in your clothes, you stay in your boots, you sleep, propped up wherever you can, and that's it. You eat when there's food, you sleep when you can. And they had people up all night. It just never stopped.
What was the food?
Well, it got worse and worse.
Oh, nice.
First, they gave us kind of a soup with rice, and by the end it was a rotten banana and an apple.
Don't tell Vinny.
Yeah, I know. No protein, man. Not enough protein. So
wow, that sounds like a blast. Again, can't wait. I can't wait. Everybody check it out. It's tonight on Fox. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, Dr. Drew Pinsky.
And if you miss it, it's going to be on Hulu the next day.
Oh, cool.
So check it out.
Definitely. Drew, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Hey, thank you for coming back. This is number 2. You are amazing, and I love everything you do, man. I will talk to you later.
All right.
Thanks,
thank you.
Drew.
We'll see you soon. Thanks.
Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2001 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jack's Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.